Good afternoon, Debbie Evans.
Good afternoon, Ants, and everybody watching.
Good
and Camp
afternoon,
Threers.
Raoul.
Good afternoon, Raoul.
And good afternoon, Kim.
Oh, hi, Kim. I'm hoping lots of people will join us today because we have so much to say. And some people miss what we say and they won't find it anywhere else. That's the truth. You won't find it anywhere else.
I find it on your Twitter feed.
Oh, my Twitter feed is hotting up. Yeah, my Twitter feed is definitely hotting up, and the Fabians are still watching me, but I'm watching them watching me, watching them.
Maybe you're blocked now.
I'm blocked, but I can still see them. I can still see them, so I'm keeping a very close eye, as you'll see as we go through the news, because they pop up all over the place just when you least expect it. Wolves in sheep's clothing. Hi, Fabians.
I remember a while ago we discussed the assisted dying bill, and they threw it out, didn't they? Here in the
Dead.
UK.
Gone. Bye. Everybody celebrated.
We did say, though, didn't we, that this will be back.
Yeah, resurrected, revived. And we've talked about it before. We talked about it a couple of months ago because, everybody will remember Kim Leadbetter, whatever her name is, Jo Cox's sister, for pushing the private members bill through before, the one that's failed. But she has stepped aside. Esther Ranson hasn't. She's still there. She's still alive as well. She seems to be doing very well. Anyway, she seems to have stepped aside, Kim, and made way for Lauren Edwards. And we've talked about Lauren Edwards before. She's an MP. She was born and raised in Australia, but she moved to the UK and she did a master's at the London School of Economics, who were founded by the Fabians. And Lauren Edwards has written for the Fabians. Oh, yeah, that's her, Joining the Dots. This is Lauren Edwards talking about joining lots of dots. And it's extraordinary, really, because as soon as you start to look a little bit deeper into the agenda, you can always see that there's a wolf in sheep's clothing behind it. But I don't know. There's so much going on in the news at the moment, and we're very much focusing on Burnham and the boats and immigration and the state of the world and geopolitics in Ukraine and Russia and cyber attacks and all of that. I think we must focus in on things that are happening here right in front of our eyes. And today, as we're recording this, it's the 26th of August. And in 16 days, just 16 days, the second hearing of the assisted dying bill is going to be heard in Parliament. That's the second hearing. Now, it's all very well for Andy Burnham to say, oh, I'm not quite sure, I'm on the fence, because he's on the fence, or says he's on the fence. But I think what they're going to do is throw in a really appealing, if it can be appealing palliative care deal, which will appease those who have opposed assisted dying and also make up for the Lords that have left the Lords now because they're no longer members of the House of Lords, the ones that opposed it before. So in 16 days, we are going to have the second reading, and then all of the parliamentarians are going to they're going to disappear for all of their parliamentary party conferences. So this is going to be heard and probably passed without too much attention being paid to it. And that's what I'm concerned about, because we're at the end of August now, 26th of August. We're going to be September in a few days, and I've got a jumper on, so I'm starting to feel a bit chilly. Autumn is coming. And yet we're looking at lots of things on a geopolitical level, but we're not looking at the NHS and we're not looking at assisted dying. And the interesting thing about assisted dying is, and I know you've got a little bit of video to show, and what's going on in Canada, we'll show a bit of what's going on in Canada. It's absolutely horrific. But Lauren Edwards is originally from Australia. So she is going to be looking to Australia for inspiration, specifically Victoria, which were the first to legalise assisted dying. So this is where we're going, folks, in just 16 days. 16 days this is going to be heard. And if you want to go online and look at the PDF from Australia, there you go, from Pulse, returning, scheduled for September. It's September the 11th. The debate is being scheduled for, although I did look on the parliamentary calendar and that hadn't been updated, but it does say there that it's the 11th. So this is going to come through quite quickly, I think, and without the fuss that we had before. And when I say fuss, I don't mean to demean, I don't mean to use that term demeaningly, but we did have a lot of media attention. We had a lot of people giving their opinions, both for and against.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. Whereas now it's 16 days away from second hearing. And I know that it's still got to go through more stages and it would have to be passed by the Lords. And what Lauren Edwards is saying is that this will not be, if it's passed, which I think it will be, if it's passed, this won't be implemented until 2030. That's only less than 4 years away. Right. So this is on our doorsteps and I think we need to be concentrating on it. So I don't know where you want to go with videos and stuff, but keep your eyes out.
We've got Danny Kruger first, haven't we?
Yeah.
So maybe we can play that, and then we've got this lady that you sent through, and then we can talk about that.
Yeah. Remember, Andy Burnham says he's on the fence. The Fabians say they're on the fence, and however, it's a Fabian that's pushing this forward. And let's face it, Fabians, eugenics. Go figure.
Bit of a death cult, really.
Yeah.
This is not equivalent to withdrawing treatment because this is not specific to the illness that is being treated. You can have a treatment or not, and that will address the condition that you are suffering from. The termination of your life does not address your symptoms, your treatment, your condition, your illness. It kills you. It's a different order of intervention. I don't think it's a healthcare treatment at all, and it should not be treated as such. This is not.
Quite right. Absolutely quite right. And the thing is that this whole agenda is going to widen and widen and widen. And the guardrails, as they call it, are going to be pushed aside, as you'll see in have you got that next clip? The next clip is from Redacted, and thank you to the one of my followers who sent me this on Twitter. This is about Canada. It's only a tiny clip. If you want to see the whole thing, go to the video.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that this is about an 83-year-old lady in Canada who was very, very fit. She was in a nursing home, but she had her nails done, she had her hair done, she saw her relatives really regularly, she'd been in the home for quite a long time, and she was enjoying life. And this is somebody that's just starting to tell part of the story. So have a little listen. It's only very short, but it's only a snippet of the bigger video.
Be happening. She basically lied. She used her words, and she used words and manipulated her. They didn't use the words of "we're going to euthanize you," we're going to end your life. She used the words of healing and care and relief. They didn't tell her the honest truth, which in my opinion is not free will. That is not consent. That is not understanding. And the most troubling part about all of this is when the granddaughter Brigitte went to visit Gigi that week, when she was sitting there after she just got her nails painted and she was like all excited about life, she told her, "Do you know what's happening on Friday?" And Gigi said, "No." And she said, "Grandma, they're going to kill you on Friday." And she said, "They're going to kill me on Friday?" It was like she had heard it for the first time. And for me personally, I would have put her in a wheelchair and I would have wheeled her out as quickly as possible. Yeah. But they were assured by Dr. K, which again, with a grain of salt, they were assured that no procedure will move forward as long as Gigi, right before the procedure, at the final moment of consent, states, No. So their whole mind is, we're going to pray on it. We're going to bring our pastor in. We're going to have our family there. And she's going to feel strong enough with everyone around her to look at that doctor in the face and say no. And that's not at all what happened. And that is why this is so troubling. Dr. K, according to the family, this is their words, did not give the final consent, and the doctor did it anyway. That in itself should make people shake, because there are fail-safes or safeguards or what do they call them? Like guardrails is whatever the death cult calls them, that are supposed to stop these types of things.
So that's just a little tiny snippet of a very, very worrying, troubling, traumatic account of what happened to an 83-year-old who was loving life, seeing relatives very regularly, and was euthanized against her will, without consent. And this is Canada. Now this is where we could head to, folks, and this is why I think we should be needing to keep our eyes out. 16 days, the 11th of September. No proper palliative care, no row. Exactly. There isn't enough. There is no palliative care in this country. When I was a nurse in hospitals, we didn't have hospices. We did the palliative care in a hospital. But what I think is going to happen is they're going to cook up this attractive palliative care scheme to appease those who oppose assisted dying. So I do think there will be a palliative care, but remember, palliative care is normally used for patients with cancer, right? And now any palliative care is normally done at home because they've closed all of the hospices. So you can see where this is going, is keeping people in their homes, remote nursing, remote euthanasia, probably death squads. What are we coming to? Are we living in a death cult? I believe we could be.
I think we are, yeah.
11th of September, folks.
Yeah, it's coming for sure. They've been just, as they always do. They just they kind of leave a few breadcrumbs, and you end up picking that bread back up again on the on your way back, don't you? And it's what they want to do, I think. So, just like the craziness of that abortion that's going on in Massachusetts. I can't remember where it was now. It's the same kind of sickness, really, that's becoming endemic in the elite way, that's been then programmed into normal individuals' lives. That this is a good idea.
It's to protect you.
When really, it's like mental health. It's kind of, it's so bad in this country. People are shelved, and we're going to talk about the NHS about being shelved in a second. It's no different. They don't. There's not enough care anymore.
There is no care. In fact, that I read an article a couple of years ago, a professor of nursing, who said that they were going to take the term nurse away, and they were just going to use the term care, and that nurses in the future were going to be like specialists, technicians, or they were going to be consultants of whatever speciality they were. They weren't going to be called nurses, and the only people that would be doing the caring would be the health care assistants. And that's where you get Andy Burnham now talking about not the National Health Service, the National Care Service, and the National Occupational Service. So this is all changing. The whole landscape, the whole architecture of the NHS is completely changing.
And I've no issue with change if it's for the better, but
this isn't for the better.
Nothing that seems to be happening at the moment is for the better.
No, it's absolutely not. It's absolutely not. I mean, should we start to talk about the NHS? What is going on in the NHS? Because I interviewed Roy Lilly a long time ago. Roy Lilly, basically, love him or loathe him, he's a bit like Marmite, dear Roy. I actually have a lot of time for Roy, but he did invent, if you like, the NHS Trust as we know it now, and we know that that hasn't ended well for anybody, this whole NHS Trust. And I'm very happy, Roy, if you're listening, perhaps to have more of a chat with you about NHS Trust. But Roy Lilly, and I do have a lot of respect for him, he writes a newsletter 3 or 4 times a week that goes to 300,000 people within the NHS and also outside of the NHS, including NHS managers. And he hears stuff on the grapevine. I mean, he's in camp 1, camp 2 as well. You know, he reports, he's a pundit, an NHS pundit for Sky Channel 4. So, you know, and he's talked to me on UK Column previously.
Mhm.
So I do listen to what he's saying, and if he hears something on the grapevine, he's normally right. Don't start me off on one of my psychiatric disorders. We'll have to do a special news on mental health, I think, for sure. But anyway, Roy Lilly put out, I'm hearing, this is what he was hearing, and I tweeted it out. I'm hearing patients can be flagged for removal from GP records as potential ghosts, even if they have recently had a consultation with their practice. That can't be right, can it? Well, yes, actually, Roy, you're hearing right, because I put that out as a tweet. This is what Roy Lilly is hearing on the grapevine. And that's the email newsletter that he sends out 2 or 3 times a week. And that's Roy Lilly there. And so I put out a tweet and asked, is this happening in real time? And I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was shocked. Because yes, people are literally being thrown off their GP, out of their GP surgery without even knowing, or they're being ghosted, even if they've been to a consultation. They're being refused treatment. They're being ignored. They're just, now some people might say, oh, thank goodness for that. I don't want anything to do with the GP, and I don't want anything to do with the NHS. So my stepdad just agreed to end of life. He was shoved in a room and given 0 carers. I am so sorry. Was that in this country? I am so, they threw him in an entry and left it up to fault to press an alarm button when my dad's alarm was running out. It was this country, and his catheter blocked. He died 3 days ago. Oh, Ashley, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I don't know what to say.
This is like this. None of these stories seem to be unusual anymore.
This is shocking. Look, folks, this is happening. This would never have happened on our watch back in the NHS days, and this is not an isolate. I'm so sorry, Ashley. My condolences. This is happening all through the NHS. People are being abused. They're being lied to. They're getting wrong information. They're being ignored. They're being left. They're being not believed. They're being given all sorts of treatments that they don't know what they are. This is the NHS breakdown as we see it. Build back better. But in order to build back better, you have to collapse everything first. And thank you, Ashley, for sharing that with us, because it reflects what other people sadly are going through. And I've had so many messages on X to say exactly this, and that people are dying because they think they're on a waiting list for something and they're not, or they think they're waiting for a procedure and then all of a sudden the procedure is cancelled, or they're ghosted, and they're in pain. And it seems to me that the combination of the NHS and DWP, because many of these people need PIP, personal independence payments, and need support, they're being set up to fail. Honestly, I mean, I'm so sorry. I'm the NHS, we need to be watching what's going on right under our noses. And I would implore people, look, if you're not following me on X and you're not following Ant on X, please follow us. It's okay, guys. If he knew that he wouldn't have agreed. At least the family got the chance. I'm glad the family got the chance. I'm glad. And I'm glad that he was totally fearless. I'm so relieved. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. But you know what? Some families won't know. Some families won't agree. Some patients won't agree to this. And these are the patients that I'm worried about. And even, you know, when I was looking at who was pro assisted dying, I watched Chris Whitty, who he completely spun it to say, well, what if somebody wants an assisted dying and their family are trying to coerce them into not having assisted dying? So far from what the the people opposing assisted dying were saying, which is, look, elderly people could get coerced because they feel that they're a burden on their family, or they feel that, you know, there's an insurance policy, a life insurance policy maybe coming up, and having an assisted dying, it still counts, that the policy will pay out, so they feel coerced. Far from that, Chris Whitty just spun it completely and said, yeah, but what about the people that want assisted dying that will be coerced by their family not to assist dying? I would say directly to Esther Ranson, who is very pro assisted dying and all part of the whole campaign, in that she was diagnosed with lung cancer over 4 years ago, which she's had 4 years with her family. She's had 4 years of memories. She's had 4 years of love. She's had 4 years of birthdays and Christmases and grandchildren and happiness. That's what she's had. And yet, in a few days' time, we're going to see assisted dying. I don't know. I mean, I'm just... The NHS
Well, there's
is
big
collapsed.
problems. And Chucky Devoy did a documentary recently, a film called Playing God, and it puts the, you know, and it shows
Yep.
these people that are literally playing God with people's lives.
We're medicalizing death. Death is a natural process. And I've always believed that we all have the invisible date of our death on our foreheads. And when our number's up, our number's up. But now I'm seeing people that are being frightened into agreeing to die. You can see what's happening in Canada. People are playing God. And we cannot medicalize. We're medicalizing birth. So many women are going in on booked cesareans. Oh yeah, I'll have my baby on September the 6th or September the 10th at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'll come into the hospital at 7. More women are having medicalized births, and now we're medicalizing death. It's a natural procedure.
Yeah, it's heinous activity, and I can't even get, because obviously you know, you were in that system as a caring person, and we've had this discussion when we had our first podcast. You know that, you know, nurses, you would go into nursing to be, because you wanted to care for people.
You were lucky to get in.
And I'm not saying that nurses are not going in for that reason either, but
We have to ask.
But there seems to be an element now, especially in the suited types that are making those decisions. They don't seem to. They seem very cold for me. I mean, I've got first-hand experiences with Lou, going and meeting these consultants, you know, where they're quite happy to throw. Like, for example, years ago, Lou was prescribed pregabalin Lyrica for pain when it's an anti-epileptic drug, and I'll not mince my words, it fucked her up, where for 6 to 8 months she was suicidal and she ended up sectioned. And this was a prescribed drug.
And there are a lot of people on pregabalin.
And it's horrendous stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there are. Yeah.
It really is. I mean, I think we have to be very mindful now, in that we are living in very dangerous times, and a lot of people are very reluctant to go to the NHS. But it's not just, I mean, I've just got a couple of things really to throw out about the NHS, in case people don't know. We all know that they're pushing now flu jabs. So you're going to get your texts, your emails, your letters, your phone calls. You're going to be told to go to your surgery if you're vulnerable, if you're pregnant. So the flu jabs are inbound, as are all of the other boosters, as are all of the other products that they're thinking about rolling out about now, because it's autumn and they're predicting that we're going to get a very cold, wet. Yeah, exactly. So we've got ambulance crews that are sick now. So we've got a bit of a problem getting patients, or some patients, to hospital. So NHS patients there in Medical Express more likely to die when ambulance crews are off sick. I mean, I don't really need to say any more to that, because it's the headline, isn't it? I mean, why are our ambulance crews sick? And you know what? Going back very quickly to NHS staffing, in my day, we had the most amazing auxiliaries and SENs and cleaners and domestics and cooks who came from the Philippines. They were amazing, still are. We had so much time for them. They used to whiz around and get things done super, super quick. So I have no problem with foreign workers being in the NHS, right? None whatsoever. However, what I'm seeing in the NHS at the moment, and this goes back to how many people are working within the NHS and who we're seeing, is that there are more and more and more people coming into the NHS and our public services in general, whether it be police or security, who are from other countries. And some of them can't speak English. And that's where a big problem lies as well. So you have to ask yourself, our workforce in the NHS, like our ambulance staff there, they're sick. Why are they sick? Why are so many of our own homegrown trained nursing, doctors, medical professionals, radiologists, physios, ambulance crews, paramedics, why are they sick?
Doesn't help that they keep jabbing them to work.
And there's going to be more. There's going to be more. There's going to be more. And let's talk about that, because the NHS have just announced, ladies, I hope you're listening. And if you're a gentleman listening and you happen to know a lady, which I think most of you will, please pass this on, because there's going to be discreet cervical cancer DIY kits sent out to you. So you remember the poo test that you were getting through your door? Well, ladies, you're going to get a swab stick now. You're going to get emails. You're going to get texts. You're going to get NHS app notifications. You're going to get letters. And you're going to get these kits coming through your doors. 4 million women, 4 million. So I'm going to look and see if there's an opt-out for this before we actually end up with millions of these kits, of which we can't afford, of which aren't probably very reliable. But these are going to be coming through your door so you can self-test for human papillomavirus, so HPV. So we know that they're trying to push the HPV jabs, which have changed. And maybe we'll get Cheryl on hopefully in the near future to talk about HPV and the HPV jab, which they're now giving to boys as well. So we know that this is what the agenda is about. So they're going to roll out these home testing kits. And then, God forbid, you're going to get a test result back on your NHS app, perhaps, that says, oh, yes, you've got a problem, but we've got a vaccine. Have the vaccine. So there we go. Life-saving HPV vaccination and increasing cervical screening attendance. This is what it's about. This is screening, folks. It's a swab. It's your body. It's your body. It's your body DNA. You are going to be sending this off to who? To be tested where? For that information to go on which cloud? Do you trust the results?
Oh, exactly. Do you trust the results is exactly the question to ask. Because
and that really does come down to it, like the PCR tests.
Exactly.
Do you trust the results? No, clearly you shouldn't. And what I would say with the cervix is, and for gentlemen, it's the same with prostates as well. It's the same for you, gentlemen. But when it comes to things like that, our levels change every single day. I mean, us ladies who've got cervixes, proper ladies, our cervixes will change every day. You take a swab today and you'll get a result. Take it tomorrow, you'll get a different result. Take it this time next week. Who knows what you'll get? You might get a false positive. You might get a false negative. You might get, who knows?
Eddie Izzard might test herself.
Test. The NHS has got plenty of money to test you and to send these stupid little kits through your door. I mean, if you want to go ahead and have it done, then feel free. But ultimately, you have to ask the question, do you trust the test?
In my opinion, Debbie, I think they want to find something.
Of course they do.
Because there's money, there's so much money. There's so much money involved in this.
Frighten you. Oh, you could have cancer of the cervix. This is, can you see where this is going? This is going towards the one cancer vaccine that we were talking about, Larry Ellison's Project Stargate, how that is dovetailing in Oxford, where you're going to get an mRNA AI vaccine within 48 hours, personalized for you.
Okay.
So the UK is the global life science laboratory of the world, which is why they want this data. They want your cervixes now, ladies. 4 million of you. So if you get these kits through, what I would say to you is ask yourself the question, do I need this test? Do I trust this test? And what happens if I get a positive on this test? Will I want a second test? Will I trust it? What will I be offered? Because you'll probably be offered something maybe to go on to a experiment, aka clinical trial. Maybe you'll be offered a new drug for your cervical cancer that you've now been diagnosed through your swab, and then maybe they'll do a biopsy. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe that will be robotic, maybe that will be remote, because that's what we're seeing right now. So just be aware that when the poo kits were coming through the door, now we've got the DIY cervix HPV tests coming through the door.
I got a family member that was diagnosed with a bit of skin cancer the other day, and said, okay, so let's not, what you can do now is we can test for the entire body now. And so thankfully she's an elderly lady, but she's been listening to us for a minute, and she went, nah, I'll leave that. If I feel ill, I'll come in.
Yeah, it's test. And, you know, the person that started the cancer test was Grail, a company called Grail. And Grail, who was Grail funded by Bill Gates.
Oh, well.
So, you know, and this was the Galileo trial. It's funny, isn't it, how I seem to extract things from my memory that's like yonks ago, but I think it's the Galileo trial. And so Grail were the first company, and I think Bill Gates, he shared the funding. I can't remember if it was with Jeff Bezos or one of them. There were two of them that started off Grail, which was the cancer test for the UK. And do you trust that test? This is my question, is do you trust the test? And then when you, if you do trust the test, do you trust the treatment? Is the treatment worse than the disease? And all of these questions now, I think people are starting to ask themselves. But, you know, cancer, we're on a big agenda again. You know, hopefully we'll get Cheryl on in the near future, because again, she's, you know, she's really, really well up on turbo cancer, the effects from the mRNA jab. More mRNA is coming down the line in the shape of flu jabs. So we have to keep our eyes on the ball in what is happening to our bodies and what they want to do to our bodies, the data they want to harvest. Don't forget, the NHS is the biggest medical database in the world, and your results from your cervix will just add a bit more to that data, which will go where?
We've got a video as well, haven't we? A guy called Gary, I think it is, who talks.
Oh, Gary. Listen to Gary.
Lovely to meet you here at the Forest Reform at DY. What do you think about the latest flu jabs that they're trying to inflict on everybody here?
They should be illegal. They haven't been tested properly. The mechanism, the mRNA, well, it shouldn't be called mRNA, it's modified mRNA. So your body can't get rid of it. It's criminal. And,
you know, the placebo, the supposed placebo they've used, you were just saying that. Tell me about that.
Oh, they tested it against an existing flu jab, but it was the worst performing existing flu jab. And as long as it doesn't kill anybody and the results are relatively similar, that's their definition of safe and effective. It isn't. There's no such thing as a safe or effective vaccine.
Well, interestingly, these mRNA ones, the latest testing ones, performed even worse than the worst flu jab, which is the placebo.
Yeah, and
Am I right in that understanding?
Yeah, 100%. And they haven't waited long enough for people to start dying with the side effects of it either. Because a lot of the side effects of this mRNA technology are longer term. And as far as I'm concerned, that's all done by design.
Well, they're habitual reoffenders on that one, aren't they? Many of these childhood jabs have only had 5 days of study.
Yes.
It's quite bizarre.
And again, not even that was against a placebo, a genuine placebo, saline placebo. They test them against other jabs.
Yeah, and adjuvants, which of course are very problematic. In
100%.
Well, Gary, it's very interesting you're pointing these things out. I noticed yesterday when I was in the city that they're giving RSV injections to pregnant women. What do you think about that?
The pregnant women aren't even supposed to eat cheese, are they?
No.
They shouldn't be injecting anything into pregnant women. They shouldn't be injecting any of this into anybody.
And
just ask us.
RSV RSV seems to be some new thing. I never heard of RSV until about
Oh yeah, respiratory syncytial virus, but
It was never the problem that they're making it out to be, though, was it?
well, I don't know if you've watched the interview with Stanley Plotkin.
Oh, yes.
By Aaron Siri,
Yes.
the American attorney,
Yes.
when he deposed him to talk about jabs, and he asked Plotkin how many vaccines he had when he was a child. 1. American children now have 72 by the age of 18.
It is beyond shocking.
They're just inventing new diseases.
That's certainly how it looks.
Yeah.
Now, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Gary.
My pleasure, and good luck with all of this.
Wise man is Gary.
Yes.
One jab to, what was it, 72, did he say?
It's madness, isn't
Now,
it?
and it's comparative with the UK as well. I mean, and he's absolutely right. You know, these and Cheryl, nobody more so than Cheryl really has been on this for so long. But you know, mRNA, whatever they are, pregnant women. When I was pregnant, and I've had 5 children, and we were told not to eat soft cheese. We were told not to take any painkillers, not even paracetamol. We were told, I mean, thalidomide was fairly fresh in people's minds. So therefore, pregnant women were told fresh air, good food, plenty of rest, and enjoy yourself, basically. But stay away from alcohol. We weren't even allowed half a glass of wine. So for pregnant women to be volunteering their bodies and the bodies of their unborn babies to all of these jabs pre the baby being born, to me is, in my opinion, criminal.
I mean, speaking of criminal, and we're talking about the NHS, I mean, you've come into some news we didn't know about this, but this again, when you sent it me, it didn't surprise me, you know, but it is pretty horrific and heinous stuff that's going on here. This lady that was assaulted.
Michelle once more. Now, we're not getting a lot of news on Michelle once more, and it only came to my attention literally yesterday. After falling and injuring myself, I went to A&E. I was violently sexually assaulted. I was put in a private side room, woken at night, injected, drugged and raped in Pinderfields NHS Hospital, Wakefield, leaving me with lifelong injuries. I lost my job as a special needs teacher for 13 years whilst the rapists walked free, management covered up. I've been gaslit, lied to, medical records changed, clinical timeline falsified, perverting the course of justice and victimised. West Yorkshire Police stalled 9 months before starting a bodged investigation. I'm failed by the system. 8 more were raped and 6 sexually assaulted, same hospital, all no charged. I took to X to speak out. My name is Michelle. Now, there's another poster, Andy, I think his name is, and he's putting out news, Andy Iceberg. And he put out, Michelle today has received the max. This isn't today, this was just a few days ago, I believe. Michelle today has received the maximum sentence, 6 months imprisonment, suspended for 2 years, plus 20 rehabilitation days and £550 costs. Victims are punished while rapists and their enablers go free. You are living in one of the most corrupt, women-hating countries on earth. And then goes on there to say, I'm so sick of this, what the police and NHS are putting Michelle, that's her handle, at Shell6666, through is beyond horrific, all because she reported her rape and serious assault in hospital. Now, as I say, I've only seen this the last couple of days, so I'm still very much delving into what's actually happening. And but like you, Anne, it's gotten to the point now where, am I shocked? Or am I shocked not to be shocked?
No, unfortunately, I'm not shocked, and I don't think this is just in the NHS, obviously, either. I think this happens in other services such as the police. I've got a friend who has been through a similar ordeal when she worked for the police, and they covered it up, and she got fired, and she lost her home. So I know this horrendous activity goes on in, and they do a lot of cover-up stuff. I hear stories all the time. I can't prove anything. This is just me saying stories that I've heard, but they've no reason to lie.
No.
However,
No, and I'm hearing equally horrific stories, and I think that's what Camp 3 is all about. It's listening to people's stories, that their experiences that they're having within the NHS, whether it's within their own GP surgery or whether something's happened to them in hospital. But what this does, in my opinion, is it's there to frighten people to speak up. So you're not allowed to speak up.
that's what it is.
So
Exactly that.
you have to stay silent. You've got to shut up and behave yourself, because if you don't, you'll get punished, clearly, like this case appears to have done. And how many more cases are like this that are going on every single day? I mean, I said to you a couple of weeks ago, and I would still urge people, the NHS have a responsibility to inform you if your conversation is being recorded or note taken, because they're using AI note takers now when you're going for a consultation. The NHS has a responsibility to ask you if you mind. Now, many people are going into the NHS and they've got loads of things going on in their heads, and they want to ask this question. They're not quite sure who they're speaking to, and they mustn't forget this and they mustn't forget that. And somebody may say, is it okay if we switch on the AI? And they go, yeah, that's fine, because I want to talk to you about my illness. And they consent to it when they don't actually mean it. So if you are asked, consider, where is my conversation going to? Who's listening to it? Which cloud is it on? Similarly, I was not asked by my GP. I was not told. So when I went in to see my GP, my first question to my GP was, are you recording me? And he said to me, well, I was going to put on this 8K. And I went, no, don't do it. And so I refused to allow him to put on the AI note taker. So this is another thing that we have to think about in the NHS, is where are the cameras? Has it got to the point where, as NHS staff and NHS security, with which we didn't really have much security in my day, as I remember, we had flower shops at the doors, not security guards, but they're all wearing body cams. I mean, is it getting to the point now where patients need to be wearing body cams because things are happening to them within NHS or public buildings or anywhere that they need to feel more protected? But if a patient feels as though they need to wear a body cam, will they be allowed to within an NHS facility, for example? I'm just taking, I mean, it could be a prison, it could be anywhere. If somebody's visiting somewhere, or someone's going to a council office, or they want to have a conversation, they want to record the conversation, perhaps because they want to remember what went on for their own, because they know they've got a shit memory, and that they'll probably be told loads of things and they'll come out and feel confused. So even for those reasons, will the NHS or will public services allow us to take our own footage? I don't know the answer to that question.
No, I don't either. But I mean, we're seeing collapses. This is the demolition is happening in front of us. So we will accept a new normal, a new change as the AI doctors come in. It's like, I have no faith in the doctor. I've got a couple of issues I really need to see a doctor about, but nah, don't see
a lot of people. Well, you're going to get. The thing is, what's happening, obviously, to many people is they're being ghosted now from their GP surgery. So when they do want some help, or they do need an appointment, or they do summon up the courage and say, actually, I've got to go and get whatever, or I've got to go and get advice, they're not receiving that treatment. Well, and again, we look at the immigrants coming in through the door that are getting everything, while people that are in this country, that live in this country, that were born and brought up in this country, that contribute to this country, are getting nothing.
Well, I was got a couple of points on that. I've got one, my missus, who 5 months ago, some people that watch us will know, was in hospital with malnutrition, and she ended up coming out lighter than she did when she went in. Was supposed to be weighed every week and having her bloods taken. It's not happened not once, but yet they're quite happy to send a text to her saying, you can come in for your NHS kind of MOT but yet they've not given her any duty of care over this 5 months, where she's literally walking distance round the corner there to go and be weighed, to have her bloods taken while she's still at 6 stone.
I mean,
It beggars belief.
the thing is, though, at the end of the day, I'm going to say it, the NHS, they really don't care. And if you look back in time, you can see that this whole system that we're seeing now, the NHS, the social welfare reform, DWP, PIP, universal credit, soon to become UBI, all the rest of it, this was created by William Beveridge and David Rockefeller back at the London School of Economics. Hello, London School of Economics, going back to the Fabians. This was all concocted in 1942, I think it was. And bear in mind that the NHS didn't come into being by Nye Bevan, Fabian, wolf in sheep's clothing, just saying, join the dots. Oh, joining the dots, Lauren Edwards, of course, her paper. So this is all planned. This is a controlled demolition. I keep saying to people, you know, I said on Twitter this week, I said, I don't really understand. I keep hearing people going, why won't Andy Burnham do this? Why won't Andy Burnham do that? Why is he not listening? Why is he not reading the room? Because he's not meant to. The boats aren't going back. The energy prices aren't coming down. The checks, these blankety blank checkbook and pen that he's got, that's issuing money to Ukraine, that's not going to Ukraine. You think it's going to Ukraine. It isn't actually. It's going to a whole load of US and God knows who companies to manufacture arms for Ukraine. That's where the money's going. It's not going to the Ukrainian people to help them. So, you know, all of these things that Andy Burnham is doing, and everybody's going, oh, we didn't want this. This is terrible. That's the plan. This is the Fabian plan. And I know it sounds really boring, and I know I keep barking on about it, but it's the Fabian way. So there's no way that where's the deportation plan? Which political party, apart from perhaps, I think Robert Jenrick has announced all sorts of things, hasn't he, with regards to how they would turn the boats back. But where's the deportation plan from Labour? Where's the deportation plan from the Greens? Where's the deportation plan from the Tories, actually? Where's the deportation plan from the Lib Dems? I don't see a deportation plan. What I see is a migration plan, a re-migration plan of let's actually not stop the boats. Let's just bring a load more in. Let's fly them in. Let's walk them in. Let's caravan them in. Let's cruise ship them in. We don't care. Let's just get them in, because this is all part of demolishing Britishness in Britain. It's the same as what Macron's doing in France. He's demolishing France in front of the French, the indigenous population of France, in front of their eyes. In Germany, it's happening. In Spain, it's happening. In the UK, it's happening. In the USA, Donald Trump. These are demolition men that are in power, and they're just demolishing everything to build back better. Rant over.
I've got a little video that will connect with what you're saying there, which we could probably put towards the end, because we haven't got a million amount of time left. We've not got a lot. We've got 10, 12 minutes. But I mean, obviously Burnham's been out. His PR is just, it's embarrassing.
Is he going to do a Blair playing the guitar?
Well, I was going to get to that maybe for some of the funnies at the end rather than. I can't.
Do you know what? Why is it they all want to be rock guitarists? Blair wants to be a rock guitarist. Boris, and now we've got Burnham with a rock guitar.
No, can we have a serious person coming in and actually doing a serious job? But no, because it's a puppet show. It's all pantomime. It's nonsense. The guy's a fool. And we're just, most people are just being pulled along with it, thinking this guy's a nice guy, doesn't wear the fucking suit, comes out and you know, he's just, and then you got these little videos coming out with him and Raina, you know, like you're one of the people, you know, and we like a pint and we'd like a DJ and we like playing guitar, and it's just David fucking Brent, isn't it? It's just pathetic. It's boring.
It really is,
actually. And you know, these are not leaders, and we know that, but some people unfortunately will see them as leaders, but they're not. They're not. It's actually very embarrassing. I
It's
find.
vulgar. It's offensive. I think the UK is being absolutely laughed at by the rest of the world, and people are looking at us in shock. I'm hearing commentators from other countries that are going, did you see what happened in the UK? Have you heard of what's going on in the UK? Do you see what the people in the UK are doing? I mean, honestly, they are absolutely flabbergasted, or they're laughing at us, and I don't blame them one bit.
No, not at all. I mean, I've got loads of stuff that on the Ukraine. We've not got a lot of time, so I'm not going to really go through it all because I think people can find it themselves. The connection with the Ukraine. The Ministry of Defence have put stuff out this week about the missiles. The fact that Zelensky's still wanting 30 billion for this, that, and the other, and like you said, there's this money pot that just seems to be going along over there while we've got people suffering on the streets. So there's just been this 35 years of independence thing, hasn't there? So and we've had it. The blue and yellow was all over London, and they're making a big deal of it. And it's just programming, and you're just being programmed, to go along with it. And it's just embarrassing. It's like that like you say, that guitar moment. I mean, I'll put it on for those that have not seen it, because it's just laughable, really. This guy, this is they're supposed to be the prime minister, it sat next to a Ukrainian soldier playing a guitar. What is that?
I don't know.
What is that about?
I mean, it just beggars belief. He'd
playing a Smith song, like girlfriend in a coma and all that. He's putting me in a bloody coma.
It's outrageous. It's offensive. It's laughable. This is meant to be a wartime leader. A wartime leader. He's meant to be the leader. He's unelected. Let's not forget. He's got more time to play a guitar, but he doesn't answer questions. He doesn't really get interviewed. He's having 1 p.m. queues, I think, before they all go off to their party conferences and enjoy themselves. I tell you, it's laughable. And as I've said before, it's very simple. It's every single country has appointed their leader, or at least Western countries appear to. Their leaders, you just call them a demolition man. That's what they are. They're just here to demolish everything around us and rebuild it back better. And there's that operation as well that's coming up in 2027. There's a preparedness operation coming up for public. What's it called? Operation Alberston.
Yeah. So
Neil McCoy Ward was talking about that. I didn't realize, actually. Somebody sent me the link and I looked at it, and then someone said, oh, by the way, Neil McCoy Ward has done a good video on Operation Alberston Shadow. So they're going to be looking at neighbourhoods. Oh, that's a surprise. And they're going to be preparing for the next crisis. I wonder what that could be. So
they want you frightened anyway. They want you frightened. So
of course they do.
It's like, don't be frightened is what I say.
Absolutely
live your life. Live your life. While they're trying to frighten you, they're also telling you not to pick blackberries, otherwise you're going to get a fine. So you got to stock up for food, but don't pick blackberries. Because you're going to get fined for that. But by all means, stock up on the food, because we're going to go to war. The climate crisis and everything else. But don't you dare burn any wood or pick blackberries.
Exactly. The world's gone balmy. It's absolutely balmy. Do you know what? Picking blackberries, that was one of my happiest memories with my mum. We used to go out in the hedgerows with a bag and pick a load of blackberries, come back, wash them, get the creepy crawlies out of them, and used to enjoy those with a bit of clotted cream. Nothing like a few home-picked blackberries and raspberries. What happened to all of that? Because every year I used to take my kids strawberry picking and raspberry picking and stuff. And I guess most of the land for that has been taken over by solar farms and anything else, because picking fruit, I used to love picking fruit when I was a kid. And I'm still going to be picking blackberries. Sorry, don't care what anybody tells me. Picking blackberries.
they don't want you being self-sustainable. You got to rely on the state, aren't you? The state's going to look after you, Debbie, not nature.
I'm growing. I'm growing potato. I'm ever such a proud potato mum, you know.
Good.
I'm growing potatoes and leeks and cow and all sorts of things. I planted them a while back, and been watering them every day, talking to them. And don't worry, for those of you that are potato experts, I've earthed them up and they're beautiful. They're still, I can't wait. It's only going to be maybe a couple more weeks before I harvest them. And I advise anybody, you know, just get a bag and grow a bag of potatoes, or you can grow things on window boxes as well. You know, you don't have to have a garden. You don't have to have a bed to put things in. You can plant stuff in pots and things, but now is the time to, even though they're, you know, fear mongering and saying, you know, prep, I think most people that are watching this will have done some form of prepping and will have got stuff in. And I actually put a question out on X and said, look, you know, when does prepping become too much? Because I don't know about, I think a lot of people are in a position where some people are prepping and the rest of the family don't. And you think, well, you're saying to the rest of the family, look, why don't you pick up another couple of bottles of water, or just make sure you've got a few candles in for winter, or pick up a torch, or if you see a camping light in the sale, grab it, or whatever. And they don't listen.
But didn't you do that anyway, though, Debbie? Didn't we do that anyway when we were
well,
like?
yeah, but
you
people
know,
aren't doing it now. They look at us as nutcases, and they think, oh, what my kids say to me, oh, mum, you don't need this, you don't need that, and I go, yeah, but you know, and yeah, but, and they go, oh, yeah, mum, but yeah, but come the day when we do need things, they'll be the ones knocking on my door. But they think that you're nutcases doing it. So whilst I think there is a lot of fear mongering going on and saying, oh, you know, make sure you prep because we're not going to get any food. You're always going to get food and you're always going to get water. It's just the price of it is you're going to be priced out of the market because the prices are going to go up and up and up, and the supply will increase and the demand will increase and the supply will decrease. But I always say to people, you know, just do a little bit of prepping. I'm not fear mongering. I think it's just common sense. I mean, I went through the power blackouts in the 70s. So I remember those days, and it could happen again. So I think everybody should be prepped. I think it might be a bit of a cold, wet winter. Cold. Brr.
I've got this video, which this guy, I don't know who it is, but he talks about, it's only a minute and a half, and it talks about why they did doing a demolition of the West. It's quite on point, really. So I thought it's worth playing. So let's just bang this guy up a minute.
Why is the West being replaced? Most of you already know it's deliberate, but the question I keep getting in the comments is why? Here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Native Westerners make terrible slaves. We're entering a new economic system. AI and robotics are making the traditional worker obsolete. Some analysts say up to 80% of jobs could disappear within decades. So what do the people at the top do with a population that is no longer needed for labor? They move to surveillance capitalism, a totalitarian master-slave model. A small ruling class at the top, a large useless class below, managed, monitored, controlled, and rewarded for good behavior. There's just one problem for the social engineers. Native Western populations are the worst possible slaves. We question, we challenge, we fight for our freedom, we push back. That is incompatible with the system they want. Imported populations, by contrast, are far more useful for this model, more compliant, less inclined to resist centralized power, easier to manage through dependency and surveillance. That's the core reason the replacement is happening. Not diversity, not compassion, but control. And control is power. They don't need independent free people. They need a docile and subservient underclass. And they know exactly which population refuses to become one. That's why we're being replaced. Stay awake.
What do you think of that, Debbie?
I think here, I think absolute clergy plan, isn't it?
Basically, yeah. Yeah, basically.
It's true. They want to make they want to make a more docile population, more compliant. We're not good slaves.
No, we're not. Who wants to be anyway?
No, thanks. I will carry on pushing back. I will carry on speaking out. I will carry on asking people like the Fabian Society to talk to me. I've got questions.
Bring
They
them
don't
on
seem
here.
to want to talk. They don't want to talk to me.
Bring them
They
on
want
here.
to retweet me, but they don't want to talk to me. But they seem to be unfolding this plan ahead of us. Do you know that, just very quickly, because I know that we're shooting off, but very quickly, Andy Burnham's been talking about housing, blah, blah, blah. The Fabians had a housing summit in July, don't you know? Not just a housing summit, but they've got a whole housing policy. So it's there in plain sight. Wolves in sheep's clothing.
Thank you again, everyone that's joined us for this afternoon's chat. And this is exactly what happened with Andy Burnham and Zelensky the other day. Enjoy, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone. God bless.
One night in heaven, one night in heaven. Oh, really? Feels like one night in heaven.